Hi, everyone. Welcome to your favorite podcast. I'm joined by my main man, Chris White. We are about to talk about sports, which is fun. Got Nuggets, got Jalen Waddle news, got your first place Colorado Avalanche, and maybe, just maybe, some soccer talk. Maybe, just maybe, some baseball talk. Hang around. We'll be right back.
Yo, welcome to the show. Let me set the scene. Mile High Sports Symposium, living the dream. Broncos in the house with that orange and blue. Nuggets making moves, watch that altitude crew. Avalanche bringing ice, check the skills they display. Rocky swinging bats, ready for game day. Rapids in the mix, kicking it with style. Buffs bring the heat, put the rivals on trial. Out talking JJT, they got the scoop. Mile High vibes, feel that energy rise. Sports on the menu, watch the crowd mesmerize. From football to hockey, we're taking it higher. Join the celebration, feel that sports desire.
Whammy. We are working on a new version. We're working on it. It's in progress. It's not great yet, so we don't want to just roll out anything.
Right.
But so glad that you are here. Again, the Mile High Sports Symposium, your favorite all Colorado sports talking podcast. So we try and hit at least the quadfecta. Sometimes we get into college sports. Sometimes we get into a little bit of the other sports. We got a couple short segments today about some of the comings and goings of some newer professional leagues going around in the Rocky Mountain region. But before we do, Chris, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. So just had spring break with the kids. That went well. So yeah, now we're back to regular schedule, which I am excited about.
But yeah. Bet, as the kids say. It is nice for them to be at school again because I vacationed with them, so it wasn't like they were just sitting around the house, but I vacationed with them, and for all of the good, which it's good. I'm not going to complain about being able to take my kids on vacation. Worked my ass off to be able to go do those things. And if you have kids and you've been on vacation with your kids, it is not a relaxing vacation. Yeah. So I differentiate them. Like relaxing is a vacation. When you go with your family, it's a trip.
Yep.
And so we went on a trip. Got to see some cool stuff. Did the Harry Potter ride. So we actually hit the Transformer ride, the Mummy, and the Harry Potter ride at Universal Studios within 30 minutes because we took them out the wait lines. Yeah. And they were dope. And we hadn't been to Universal yet because the kids hadn't been old enough, like the collective.
Yeah.
They want to go there and just watch kids go on rides or not be able to go at all. And so, so it was a good time. It was funny because Friday last week, it was hotter here than it was there.
Yeah.
And, which is just whatever. We're hurling to the sun, but, everything's good over here. We were super pumped and frustrated that the news broke about Jalen Waddle after we were already out and we had our scheduled, podcast out. Hope you enjoyed it though, because the conversation was still real. A lot of good draft talk in there, but we're gonna move on. We're gonna at least reintroduce a couple of sports. So first, the Colorado Summit, your women's professional
Denver Summit FC.
Denver Summit. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, when I said it, it didn't sound right. Phenomenal colors, by the way.
Yeah.
Their unis are dope. Got kick-started. I think my wife and my daughter are going to go to a game in a couple of weeks. I'm a little jelly. But I chose Messi to go see that game when Miami comes in town. So yeah, I'd have cake and eat it too, I guess. So hit me. What do the peeps need to know about the Denver Summit?
Right. Well, so they just started kicking it off. They're still looking for their first win, but the first game was on 14th. They play again tonight, so go out and support them is basically what we're telling y'all to do. We don't really have any big time analysis. They've only had 2 games, so we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I do like they got, I think, a few Colorado kids on there, which I don't know if growing up, right, like playing soccer in Colorado, period, being like, hopefully one day I can play professionally you have that in every other sport, really, right? Lacrosse even. And then with the Rapids coming, you have a little bit for the men's game, but let's keep it real. Like women's soccer, in my opinion, is better than men's soccer. And so for the women to be able to have an opportunity to, maybe it doesn't work out that way, but to be able to see young girls being able to see professional women's soccer in, I think, a state where it's been pretty good, especially at the high school level.
Yep.
And so as a dad of 2 soccer girls, I dig it. So love it. Like you said, only a couple games. They're only 2 points back. So there hasn't been a ton of ground lost. I do think the first goal that they scored was a Colorado kid. I was trying to look it up real quick because I just remember them saying Denver native, and I was like, dope.
Yeah, it's dope either way. So
yes. I mean, it is. Expansion teams are always take a little bit, but if Peyton Manning bought in, you should buy in too. Peyton Manning fail at stuff. Just saying. But at minimum, go check out their digs. Like I like the kits. Color scheme's really good. It's pretty dope. So congrats to them kicking off to a lesser known and maybe even not as well established sport, baseball.
Yep.
I only got 2 minutes. I'm gonna look at time right now. We'll be starting this month, right?
Yeah. So
So is it Monday?
No, the season starts on Monday. Their home opener is
on Friday, and they always do that because the Monforts are smart. They want their opening day over a weekend, so they can cash out Friday opening day. So they will always start on the road, which then they also get 4th of July at home. So that's why they do that split. And so Cal Freeland making his franchise record 5th opening day start.
Congratulations to him.
It's so hard because it can't be mad at a guy that wanting to pitch in Colorado and just being so frustrated at what could have been, if 2017, 18, one of those. Cal Freeland
he was dealing.
2.86 was the lowest, I think, in Rockies history. It was 3rd in Cy Young voting, if I recall, or top 5. I'm not sure if it was him or Ubaldo that was top 3, but and a dog too, going into Wrigley and pitching lights out in that wild card game was just you thought we're here. That's what I thought. I was just so pumped, get beat by Milwaukee and it's all right. We're back, we're on. And then how far it is, yet he's still here.
Yep.
And so, when all said and done, give me how would you summarize the Cal Freeland experience here with the Rockies?
Yeah, I think you just get those tastes of greatness, and you don't get the whole meal, so you get the whiff of potential dominance, and it just never worked out. He got hurt, and
got hurt playing with terrible teams, and it just baseball. You got to be confident in every sport. Baseball for sure is one of those where it's if your head's not in it, it's already hard enough. Don't help it.
Yeah, and in typical Monfort fashion, they didn't put anything around him, and so. And
here we are. However, let me ask you really quick, and then we're gonna move on. Okay. I'm excited. One, I think I told you because we actually have adults running the organization, and I like what they're doing. It's not hard though to like to be impressed when the bar is so low.
Right, seriously.
But I think they're going to be competitive. Don't think they'll be good, but I think that they will be a more competitive team day in and day out. Over under is set at 54.5. So up games, almost 12 games from last year. What would you say? Would you take that bet? Would you go over or under at 54.5 wins?
You know, I will take the over on 54.5. But if you give me like it's 63.5, I'm taking the under. Okay. So anywhere from 54 to 60, I think would be a remarkable improvement and still yet be the worst team in MLB. So that's how bad they have been.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and just to remind everyone, the anti-taking in the MLB, so they finished by far the worst record, of course. And actually, I don't know by far. I think Chicago is pretty terrible too. White Sox.
They were still 20 games better than us last year.
Yeah. They're still like bad. But the Rockies will have the 10th pick.
Okay.
So they can't have the number 1 pick because they've been so bad for so long that they can't maximize the worst record in since World War II.
Jesus.
So anyway, but with that, you know what? I'm going to go over. I'm going to shoot my shot. I am going to say that they're going to win 65 games this year.
Okay. Again, I think
22 game improvement.
I think a lot of things have to go right for them to win more than 60 games. I think
that's so sad.
I know. Well,
so again, have to go right for them to be feeble.
Well, again, the problem is like they don't have a lot of talent to draw on. I mean, you've got this group of players, led by Goodman at catcher and Tovar at shortstop, and even Brendan Doyle at center field. You've got those guys, but like the pitching staff is Kyle Freeland and just these veterans who were not very good last year, but we're hoping are going to be at least 8 innings this year. So
I think Katana was pretty good last year, under 4 ERA, like 180 innings. Michael Lorenzen, low 4s.
Isn't he 37 though? I think.
Oh no, he's old. I mean, no, they're all 3 are old. Saganu had one season of MLB pitching. Yeah, no,
and led the AL in home runs allowed.
In home runs allowed, yeah. He was just angry throwing it back.
Right.
So I would disagree in the sense of talent, because I think that there are talented players, unproven and probably not ready. I think those 2 things are true. So I like Rumfield at first. He is I think he was a highly drafted Yankees prospect.
Yep.
But there's probably a reason. Like the tools are there. If you saw him in spring training, the guy, he looks the part. Big, tall, lefty, sweet swing, plays good defense. But the Yankees oftentimes don't give up stars. And so there's something missing. So talent physically is there. And my concern being, and one reason why I'm more excited is because now they are investing in player development in a way they've never done before. So maybe a guy like Charlie Condon, who is just absolute nails over the spring, he's not on the opening day roster, so the controls is arbitration eligibility. So if they wait till like mid-May, he doesn't get a year service, so he can come up and then all the things. So,
all the things that are complicated.
Yeah, we'll see if the development plan. So I'm hopeful because I think that this group of baseball people, which they're legit baseball people, you ransack the Marlins player development, pitching development, which say a lot about the Marlins, but they produce pitching. And especially when you look at Latin America development, et cetera. And then the Dodgers front, which a lot of those guys also had worked with the Rays before coming over to LA, which I've said forever. Like, why wouldn't you just go poach the Rays and be like, hey, we're going to quadruple your payroll?
Yeah.
What? Just do what you're doing there. We'll give you 4 times payroll, which again is still not a lot of money. Cause I think the Denver Summit probably makes more than the Rays. And so I'm excited about it. I think just letting myself be a little bit hopeful, because I think that they'll be competitive. There were stretches where the Rockies were getting, you're getting 7 run ruled.
Yeah.
Consecutive games where it's just you're not even in the game.
Yep.
Check the score. It's not 5-3. It's 7-1, and it's just like that just sucks. So I would give to Kyle Freeland, if I were to think of it, as like he is a dog. Like that dude is still going to go out and take the ball, and you got your head kicked in for the last 5 years. God bless you, man. If this team could go 70-92, just still think about that, like how bad that is. It's still a really bad baseball team. Like, how good would it feel? And for like a guy like Kyle, who has been here when it's great, from Colorado, TJ kid, blah, 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 like to be able to see it ascend a little bit when he'll be like 32. It would just be super cool. It's not going to happen. Like I said, 65 wins. I'm always right. I'm not going to get to 70, but I do think they'll be much better. I'm excited more for after the All-Star break, when some of the prospects will be up for sure, and you're getting longer looks at some of those guys.
Sure.
Because that's where I think you'll see the glimpses of hope with some of the younger talent. But let's move on. We're going to move on to real sports now.
Okay.
Not real sports. The sport of baseball is real. The sport of soccer is real. I'm excited about the soccer teams. Again, baseball.
Competitive.
It's just like so hard.
Right.
Let's start with the Nuggets.
Okay.
So I think I had titled it or said, inconsistency, the only consistency with this team.
Yeah.
They look like gangbusters, and then they don't. However, it hasn't been pretty. They've strung some dubs in a row, which in the end, the objective in sports is
to win
the game. You play to win the game, right?
I do have a question for you, though. Whenever you're so here's my question. They've strung together some wins. They beat they beat the Suns last night. They beat the Blazers. They beat Philly, which is all great. And I would never think that we should tank. But is them being the 4 seed and being on the Oklahoma City side of the bracket, is that giving you concern? Because would you
rather be on the Oklahoma City bracket than the San Antonio Spurs bracket?
Okay. That was the question. Would you rather play the Spurs or would you rather play the Thunder? Because of the Thunder, we have not played well against them recently.
We haven't this year. No, that's not true. We've lost close games to them this year. Last year, I think we were 2-2 in the regular season, then took them to Game 7. The year before that, we were 3-1 against them in the regular season, I think. So I think we actually played pretty well against the Thunder. We wouldn't be favored, but I'd rather have that. Like a team, just who guards Wemby? Like Aaron Gordon's a great basketball player, good defensive player. Peyton Watson,
who's back, by the way.
Yeah, but when you're 6'8", 6'9", nice. You're still half a foot smaller than him. Or more. Like that is significant. That is significant. And he could hit threes and stuff. So because that, and I'm not sold that they won't get the 1 seed. They're only 3 games back now.
Sure.
And and we'll see. So the Nuggets, we're back in the 4 seed, which is super dope.
9 games left in the season, though. So 9 games left to make up 4 games.
9 games left. Game and a half behind the Lakers. Who? Do you know what the season's at? 1, 2. I think that the Nuggets. I think they're 3-1 against the Lakers. No, 2-2.
Yeah.
Against the Lakers. So I'm not sure if they play again. But
my only concern is the fact that
get to the last 2 games.
We have not beaten the Thunder with this iteration of the team. We have beat the Spurs with this iteration of the team.
That's fair. But we did beat the Spurs without Wemby.
Totally.
We have not played the Thunder with our roster.
Okay.
We've been missing somebody and somebody of note every time that we played. So we have not played them healthy yet. I don't feel great about either.
Okay. Okay, good. At least we're on that page together.
Yeah. I'm not predicting a win. I think I would just rather have the devil I know versus the devil I don't a little bit, partly because Wemby's such a unicorn. But neither of those are great options. I would much rather get Houston or LA or give me one of those. We know that won't be in the cards, but here we are. So you go out there, you dribble, shoot, you hope for the best.
Yeah, the interesting thing for the last couple games, and this is what I was hoping for when we signed Valanciunas in the offseason, was the fact that, like, on a Tuesday game against Phoenix, we would maybe play Jokic 27 to 30 minutes as opposed to 35 plus, which is what he's been doing the last, since the All-Star break. And that's I worry about the load that they're giving him a little bit. He is amazing and got a triple-double last night because of course he did. But man, it would be nice if he could just like have a couple nights where we're not relying on him so substantially.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a coach's DNP. Is going to be that again tonight. And so don't know what's going on there. Not great for sure. Hope that gets turned around just for the sake of the squad and morale and we have 9 games left. It would be nice if we don't tax the team's best players again before I won't give them that excuse either. So that's the case. They're tired and they lose. I'm not going to let them have the out of, they had to play. Like, nope. You don't lose crappy games against Memphis where you got blown out and Dallas and crap like that, which has just been this team's bugaboo. That said, I wouldn't be shocked if they're out in the first round. And I wouldn't be shocked if they go to the NBA Finals. Like it's that, like they're like that. The range for opportunities or realities for this team is pretty wide. Yeah. I think they're super talented. Still have the best player in the world. You have an all-star now playing at a really high level in Jamal Murray. You found P-Watt, who is just all the things, right? So I think talent in the West, they can compete with anybody. They also underachieve significantly. And or their coach bumble stuff, whatever it is, it's a collective failure as a group.
See, that's funny is because I'm on the opposite end. I would be surprised if they got beat in the first round. I'd be surprised if they made the finals.
So you think like it's second round, like what we've had. You're gonna make the second round. You're probably gonna play. You got San Antonio or Oklahoma City, and that's probably where you go out.
Yeah,
I guess you're right. Because you'd have to probably beat Oklahoma City and San Antonio to go to it, and the odds of, to be honest, any team doing that, right? Like even if OKC had to play another OKC in San Antonio, like they might not make it out, right? Like that is a tough gauntlet, that's for sure. So you know what? I think that's a good point. I do think if this team got healthy, they got mentally right. I still think, I think in the sports books, they're still third or fourth in where they're at. And I think there's something there. But what do you think is going to be, and Spain Watson didn't play last night, but played it a couple nights ago, should play again tonight. What do you think, if you had a magic wand to help maybe create some consistency around this team, what do you think the tweak would be, or what would you suggest, even though we know who knows what the heck the right thing is? What do you think this team's missing? If you could sprinkle magic dust on it and be like, all right, we good. We're just a little bit of this. What do you think this team's missing?
It'd be the defense. Like the defense still is bad, and it's still bottom 10 in the league bad. And if it were bottom, if it was mediocre where it's 15th and below, we could live with that. Like giving up 123 points to the Suns is not great. Giving up 142 to the Grizz is not great. So that's what I would fix first is get Christian Braun Christian Brown and Bruce Brown to be those wing defenders that we need. So
and Peyton Watson, right?
And
Aaron Gordon. Like you got,
I think again,
excuse to not, and even Tim Hardaway is a good perimeter defender, not an elite, but a serviceable, good, smart defensive player. Like in my opinion, I don't think they have a reason to suck.
Well, I think Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon are already good defenders. I would like 100%. Somebody else to be like, hey, I'm a good defender too. So you now have like 3 good defenders you can lean on.
Yeah. So, do you think Spencer Jones is a good defender?
I think he's okay.
It's hard because he's undersized, so it's like he's got grit and some of that stuff, but you're playing against another guy who has 2 inches on you and is a much more bouncy athlete. It's like, want to is great. but you got to have some of the traits. All right. Well, that was depressing. They are still winning. They're winning a little bit. You know, they got like a 4-game winning streak.
Which was
recency
nice.
bias is phenomenal, and they got a good opportunity to get a dub tonight playing Dallas. And so I think mine would be defense, but it would be fourth quarter defense. I think the fact that you're fouling guys early on because you don't think you can get a stop. You rather give up 1 point than play defense. I think that's a sad place to be. So hopefully they get back to what made them good. Like you said, we're not asking you to be a top 5 defense, people. Just be okay. Don't gouge yourself out. So
one question before we switch topics, but like, is Jokic eligible for the MVP? Is he going to have enough games?
I think so. I think if he misses one more game, he can't.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Is he the MVP then? Like,
ooh, good question. Nope.
I
think a guy like Jalen Brown probably. And to be honest, I kind of think he deserves it. You know, like they were supposed to be like
bad. Yeah.
You know, gonna be out. They traded a bunch of guys, assuming and understanding that this wasn't going to be their window. And now they're the favorites in the East with Jason Tatum coming back, but he's only been back for like 6 games and is only playing like 22 minutes. So it's not. And you know what? Jalen Brown is one of those guys that I had wrong from jump. I thought he was a good athlete. Didn't think he was going to develop into being a quality shooter, let alone scorer.
Yep.
And it just goes to show you, like, hard work and talent. If you really utilize one to maximize the other, like you can be good too. So I think Jokic is the best player in the league, and if that were that, I think he's the tops of the Kia, whatever the thing he is. But I just think we've seen how the voters are. They get sick of the guys winning it. You know, Shea shouldn't get it this year because he's a bird. Luka maybe because the league.
No, I think you called it right with Jalen Brown. I think he'd probably.
I think he does it like he's all with like good in the sport. Seems like a good dude, quiet superstar, plays hard, plays above the rim, plays good defense, like leads.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of one of those. If there were time to reward a guy for being good, you know, maybe not sensational or bleeding in any of the things, I think that now would be.
Plus, it's a good story. It's a really good story.
100%. Yeah, which is interesting, right? It's like he made the Celtics not hateable. Which is,
I don't know about that, but
I mean, like, I don't hate them right now. Like I can't stop thinking about the West, let alone get over there. But you know, but if he playing the Spurs, I'm rooting for Jalen Brown.
Yep.
Sam. All right. Well, with that, let's talk about people who also believe in us. Your mom. Just kidding, everyone. But what you can do is go like, subscribe, comment for the algorithm, give some likes, do all the things. Go over to the Orange and Blue Network on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter as well. You can also follow our podcast or YouTube, as well as our Twitter, as well as our Instagram, because Insta is the way it goes. Ton of great shows. Most of them are better than ours. So
none of them are better than ours. How dare you?
True. I know. I appreciate you all. Dak, you're my guy. Still better. Just kidding. Love it. But we got it for Monday. It's Friday, breaking news, post games, all that stuff. We'll be doing some stuff for the draft. Not sure, timeline with the Broncos that pick in the first round, but still jumping in there and doing that. So anything you want, we got. And because I know you get tired, Dubby has no sugar, no calories, no whatever that is. No fillers, artificial colors. Just has a ton of the stuff you need: the B vitamins, amino acid, etc., etc. If you would like some Dubby, go to their website and use the code OBN10 for Orange and Blue Network 10 for 10%, or Bounix 10 because he's 10. Now we're back to our regular scheduled programming. All right, let's talk to a team that it's so weird. It's like the Avs and the Nuggets can't be like great at the same time anymore. And so, the Avs, everything's pointing up. They're starting to get guys back. Gabe Landeskog, probably last time we talked with you all, he took a 96-mile-an-hour slap shot to the cup, which had a significant dent in it that required surgery.
You know it.
Which, if it were me, I would have used that as an opportunity to get surgery. If you know what I'm saying? Like,
nope, and I don't think I want to know, dude.
I want to be a $6 million man. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So like, the captain's back, and I don't know what it is, but like watching them play with him versus without him, I think what did they say? He's 30. The Avs are 38-4 and like 38-4 and like 2 with Gabe. Mm-hmm. They are 500. They're 9-9 and something without Gabe. I mean, think about like, they are over 33 or 34 games, whatever it is, over 500 with just because one player is on the like that. Just and a guy that doesn't dominate stat sheets anymore, but brings a sense of professionalism, guts, calmness, all of the good things. So kind of, since getting smacked around by the Penguins on March 16th, pick up a point against the Stars, win in Chicago, win in Washington in overtime, and then get some payback against the Penguins. So starting to peak at the right time. LOC came back. Sounds like a few more guys are on their way back. So question for you. What's your confidence level on this team being built for the stretch run? 1 being nope, 10 being they him.
Yeah, it's got to be 9 or 10. I mean, we had a small hiccup there, with the Penguins, and that's unfortunate. The good news from last night is not only do we get revenge on the Penguins, but Dallas and Minnesota both lost, so that lengthens that lead that we're going to try and get that number 1 seed. I don't. There's nothing of concern for me about this team. I mean, it's great that we're getting everybody back and are playing at full strength. So, we're going to have bumps in the road every season. So, but it's fine.
Yeah, again, I'm glad they did. I'm of the ilk of I'm glad they got punched in the mouth a little bit. So we're gonna find out if they're gonna respond. That's why a lot of the President's Trophy winners struggle is because they aren't used to getting out physical their effort or down in a series. So I think now you have a little bit of substance to pull from. Not necessarily that they needed it because this team is pretty veteran. But this particular group of people hadn't done it together like this, right? And so even though Nazem has been an Avalanche before, he wasn't last year, the year before. Brock Nelson is new. Like this group is still, it's about a calendar year outside of Naz and Roy, whatever, and a couple other guys that have just since they've been here, Georgie, Wedgwood, like all that stuff happened mid-season last year. And so we're really hitting like 1 season with this group, the core group kind of together. And so, I think they have what it takes. Again, I will be disappointed and shocked if they don't win it all. And I'm keeping it there. And so with that, is Nathan McKinnon the Hart Trophy winner this year?
I think so. I think the guy and I've forgotten his name, in Tampa Bay is surging, but again, I think he's the points leader. I think that team is playing the best. He's the best player on the best team. So let's just wrap it. So
They're still playing.
I think it'll be interesting to see where Wedgwood falls in the Vezina.
The Vezina. I couldn't agree more. So because it feels like they still want Blackwood to be the man, still, and it stinks because he hasn't been awful. So we're talking about Wedgwood's just been top 5 in all of the things, and so
he's been great. So
I
think it'll be interesting to see
good feelings again too, right? Like the story of he wasn't here to be a winning goalie; he came here to be a backup, and he knew that. And so it's kind of cool to see, and I hope he's able to be recognized for it. He deserves it. I mean, he's been the best goalie in the NHL on a team that has 2 really, really good goalies. So it's just pretty dope.
It's a cool position to be in. So
yeah, gotta love it. Well, we're rooting for our guys. We talked about them winning, so we're gonna move on because football is fun again.
Holy spokes. Yeah, we have not spoken since the news broke. So
So when we last left it, the Broncos had done nothing in free agency.
Except bring back their guys.
JT was gonna jump off a cliff. And maybe that's why he's not here today. Maybe he's just like, I can't handle it. It's a wrap. That's not funny. Don't joke about those things, Nicholas. But of course, the Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday when I'm on vacation, right? News comes down. Our text thread's like, oh. So just to revisit, so Jalen Waddle is now a Denver Bronco. Been rumored to be on the Broncos' radar since last October. Was almost on this team for the stretch run, but it didn't work out. George Payton circled back and got the deal done. So if I look at the points chart correctly, the equivalent of what the Broncos gave up for Waddle is the equivalent of the 25th pick in the first round. So if I were to ask you, would you want Jalen Waddle with his contract, all the things, 27, for the 25th pick in the draft? I would have said, yes, please.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think we agree that that it was a good deal. What do you like about it? What do you like about the player, the fit? What kind of stands out to you about why Broncos country should be excited about him specifically? Not just that they went and did something finally.
Okay.
But that this player. Bleh.
I think Jalen Waddle has shown that because his rookie year and his second year, he was over 1,000 yards. It looked like he was an ascending player, and then Tua's injury has just kind of tanked that entire team's future, unfortunately. But Jalen Waddle, he wins in a lot of areas. I was honestly surprised. Matt Harmon did a study on kind of where he wins versus coverages, and I was surprised that he was winning on your post routes, your go routes, and your corner routes with as much consistency as any route he runs. And the interesting thing was they didn't use him on those routes. Those were kind of his lowest routes. There was a lot of slants and ins and outs, which is great. So the thing I like about Jalen Waddle is I think he wins all over the field, and I think you need a player like that because I think he can be a versatile piece that you can say, we have a team that covers really well deep, so we'll adjust the way our offensive game plan goes. So that's what I like about Jalen Waddle.
Yep. Yeah, we're having receiver rooms is like a basketball team. You need different skill sets, different guys, different leverage. You just have a bunch of 6'4", big-bodied receivers. You're missing out on opportunities to be able to exploit a defense in different ways. You don't give them much to think about when they match up, etc. Which is why I thought A.J. Brown is a tougher sell if you're looking at it that way. I also think you can only get who's available.
Yeah.
I mean, Broncos probably really want Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson.
Right.
You gotta have two tango. And those guys aren't walking through the door. So A.J. Brown is a football player-wise, is a phenomenal player. And so that makes sense of just upgrading the room with eliteness when you can. But Jalen Waddle, I think, provides a much more calculated route running tree, and his ability to take a 5-yard hitch or a slant 60 yards. The Broncos don't have a yak guy, really. Marvin Mims hasn't been that. You think with his elusiveness and his skill set, you'd have a little bit more of that. Troy Franklin is probably the best on the roster when it comes to that. And there's still some to be desired. Court essentially is not that. He actually had a much better year with yards after the catch last year because I roasted him at the beginning of the season of he just catches it and falls down all the time. But now you got a guy who I think complements that. So now you have your big body receivers, Pat Bryant and Court, who are contested catch. They're going to win on with power. Troy, who I think is a good mix of all around. It's kind of a Timo version of Jalen Waddle, probably.
I think Troy Franklin is fine. I think Jalen Waddle is elite.
100%.
So
100%. And would you say top 20 receiver?
Yeah.
Would you say top 15 receiver?
No. Because I think the league is saturated with really, really good receivers, but just because he's not a top 15 receiver doesn't mean that you guys should not be excited about what he can bring to your football team. So
I mean, last year, for the Dolphins, who were just bad.
Yeah.
And even compared to 2024, when they were a bit more competitive, 2.28 yards per route, which was up almost a full yard from the last year. Target rate, he's getting targeted 25% of the times he ran a route.
Yep.
Just goes show. And then average depth of target over 13 yards a target, which this team has struggled with the 10 to 20 yard intermediate chunks, and especially over the field. And I think he's a guy that's going to be able to do that for you. And expected points added 1.3 per game because of that player. 40% of his usage, his yards came in intermediate routes in the center of the field, which Bo Nix has not been good at. And I think that this is another thing if you can get good at this thing, right? That's where Drew Brees killed. That's where Peyton killed. That's where Tom Brady is the middle of the field and being able to utilize your mismatches physically with those players. And so I would say I think there's an argument that he could be top 15 depending on what you want and all that good stuff. That said,
the only reason he's not top 15 in my mind is the fact that he hasn't, he's been not great the last couple of years. And I think that is more for the Dolphins. That says more about the Dolphins than would be about the Broncos. So if you told me he would be, 12 to 15 at the end of next year, that wouldn't shock me. So, but right now, he needs to put it on the field first.
Just like that too. I think he's a little bit more dependent of a player than someone who's just more of a physical specimen, right? Who's just going to demand those things. I think that is one. The cool part about him is he doesn't miss games. I think he's missed 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 games in 5 years, which Pat Bryant, I think, missed more than 4 games last year. George Franklin missed more than 4 games last year. So guys who are young. And so that's that's a thing for sure. Last year, even with a terrible offense, still averaged over 14 yards a catch, 900 yards on 64 receptions. Still 6 shots. Again, not good. But I think his instantness provides it. And so here's the thing that I think is the best part about it is not what he's going to do, but now I think what he provides the team. And J.K. Dobbins was top 5 rusher in the NFL before he got hurt last year. And that was not very good. And so defenses were able to load the box, play single high. You can't play single high against Jalen Waddle. He's fast. He's super fast. And then I think the person that will benefit the most from this is Cortland Sutton. I think Cortland Sutton is going to have an opportunity now, I think, to be able to have a more beneficial or more beneficial opportunities where he is a one-on-one with a guy. They're not shading over to him necessarily. He more schemed up stuff that way because the attention now has to go. And not that Marvin Mims couldn't get there, but he doesn't come with that cachet, right? Like Jalen Waddle comes with being a Pro Bowl, both for all pro receiver. And I think that part is huge. Last part is he's a good dude. So I don't know him, but from what I get, what I hear, super humble, and all the answers are right about I'm here I don't have personal goals. I have team goals. I want to win. Had already restructured his contract when he got here to give the team more cap.
And Patrick Surtain loves him. So
I couldn't be more ecstatic.
Yeah. I agree.
So with that,
I think it raises the ceiling of the team, and that's kind of what we were saying throughout this offseason is the Broncos need to take advantage of this window to raise the ceiling of the team, and that's what he does. And so credit to Sean Payton and George Payton for getting that done because this is what we were pounding the table for, throughout the offseason. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was they couldn't just go get a guy, and I think you said their receiving group is fine. Them going and getting a guy to add who's also fine doesn't help this room. It's a waste of money that you can allocate in other areas. And so with that, it does a ton for this team. So you had brought up, is this the receiving duo, Cortland Sutton and Jalen Waddle, fit maybe in the NFL hierarchy. And so with a few names like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, you got CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, obviously. With your Cowboys, you have A.J. Brown still and Devontae Smith, who have been phenomenal up to this point. Even on a down year, they both played really well. You have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, who's still a relatively good grouping. And so there's, I think, some really good duos. Where do you think that this group where do you think that they would land at if you were to guesstimate their rank in the NFL of the top, the
Duos.
top 32? Where would they be at for you?
Probably 6 or 7 for me. I mean, for me, it is, Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are probably the number one because those guys are great. And then you have kind of a lumping of the Cowboys duo, the Eagles duo, and Cincinnati's duo. And then I really like the Detroit duo of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. I think that's a really good duo. But then you can talk me into Cortland Sutton and Jalen Waddle. And it's only because they haven't shown it on the field yet. So and maybe next year maybe next year they're both over 1,000 yards, 8 to 10 touchdowns apiece, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so Bleacher Report has them ranked as the 8th best.
Okay.
So the only teams ahead of them, Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp.
Interesting.
Right? Like I
like Cooper Kupp a lot, but he was not great last year. So
and don't let the Super Bowl fool you. He was clutch, but he also only had like 6 yards receiving. It wasn't like he went for like $130. And then Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison at 6. AJ and Devontae at 5, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams at 4, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens at 3, Puka and Devontae Adams at 2, and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Some teams that they had passed, let me know if you agree. DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
And Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins.
Yeah. I think they clear Jefferson and Addison. I think Jefferson's the best receiver in the league, but Jordan Addison has not proved anything. So
I agree. Yep. I think both Cortland Sutton and Jalen Waddle have Pro Bowls and all that good stuff to their name. There's not a lot of other players that have. So I'm pumped for it. So great move. So with that, they did have to give up something to get something.
They do.
And the Broncos trade away their first pick, number 30, and their third round pick, number 96, and their fourth round pick, which was 108, I think, for Jalen Waddle and a pick in the early fourth, whatever the numbers are. So
it was a pick swap in the fourth.
Pick swap in the fourth. I'm trying to remember which one anyway. So with that being said, how do you think this changes the draft strategy with where they're sitting? First pick being at 60. You have a bunch of day 3 picks, but for a team that's pretty deep in terms of at least competent depth pieces, which the Broncos have worked hard to re-sign all of their guys essentially. So really, you're just adding to the rooms. But what would your approach be now that you don't have premium capital? What does it do to your attack plan if you are George? Don't call me Chris Payton.
Well, so I think the good news for the Broncos is the fact that you guys are so deep. Is the fact that you can go out and get not only the best player available, but you can say, okay, we know J.K. Dobbins may not have the health track record that we want, so we'll get another piece there. We need to improve maybe Alex Singleton's role, so we can get a piece there. Or, hey, Evan Ingram may not be on the team in 2027, so we can get a piece there. So instead of having to say, gee, first round pick, we need you. This is a Super Bowl team that's ready to win now, so you need to be pretty good. We can say, we can go get a depth piece to say, maybe we can let you cook for a little bit and give you and be a rotational piece with it. I have a
Yeah,
question.
you really can lean into the development part, which a lot of teams, and especially in the NFL, like they want to microwave that bad boy.
So wait, I have a question for you.
Hit it.
What are you doing in the second round? What's your hope there?
Yeah, so that's good. What would I do, or what would Sean Payton do?
No. What do you want to see there? What do you want to see with that second round?
What do I want to see? I want to see either two things. One, there is a player that slipped, that is just, hands down the best player available. And maybe they got to trade up a few spots. So he's one of those fourth round picks, maybe to move up a few spots in the second. If not, I would like them to trade back if they're able to secure, there's quite a few teams that have 2 3s. Are you able to get a couple more picks in the top 100 just because the prospect at 60 versus the prospect at 72, don't know how big of a gap that might be. If you're able to get those. But if they were to stand pat, so
yep,
I don't know who they would trade with.
Phone doesn't ring.
I think that there's because of the positions that they're also looking at. I think at least 2 of them, 3 of them. I think all 3. In the second round, you can get a day 1 contributor at those positions: running back, tight end, linebacker. Which for the most part, tight end's a hard position to come in and learn because of all of the things. But you can typically get a guy, Trey McBride was a second round pick. You can get guys that can be NFL starters and pretty quickly in the second round. Same with running back, obviously, and linebackers. If you get a second round linebacker, you better be starting relatively soon. I mean, that's a pretty premium pick for that. I wouldn't necessarily say that with a receiver by chance, or a left tackle or an edge rusher, that they would be shooed in to be an immediate contributor. And so I think being able to play the board and get a best player available of position of need, I would say defensive line even, that would be great. But if they came away with a really solid high upside tight end or linebacker, I'd be thrilled, because I think that's, like you said, Alex Singleton, Justin Strnad, we got to have some depth and we got to grow it. We can't keep paying a bunch of money to those positions. And so having some youth there, as well as giving you some sense of security to not bring Evan Ingram back, because it just hasn't worked out yet.
I have another question for you then. If that is the case, so you're taking best player available. Let's say Elijah Surratt from Indiana, the wide receiver, is there, and Josiah Trotter, the linebacker from Missouri, is there. Are you taking where you may have Elijah Surratt above, because I know you're a big Surratt fan, so would you take him over the linebacker if he's the best player available?
Yeah, nope. That's why I would say position of need. But there's always caveats, okay, as I spit these out. There's a likelihood or an opportunity that then you make a trade from the room. So you get Elijah.
The phone's not ringing. It's Elijah.
I know.
Surratt.
So that's So that to me is like you have to be comfortable with doing that. I wouldn't bring Elijah Surratt in here to sit on the bench. When who knows when he would crack, even if when Marvin leaves, for instance, they're still 4 deep. I don't know that Elijah Surratt is better than Pat Bryant and so that part is he's just not going to get reps in development. Sure. And so I would go with Trotter or someone at that position, because I think that they can come in and be the third linebacker in their rotation like they do, especially a guy like Trotter who's really a thumper. Come in, see ball, hit ball, and work on their coverage skills as we continue to move. But he can come in, I think, and really get some good snaps. A receiver is not going to come in and be a contributor for this year and maybe not next year. So barring, someone that is really first round talent falling all the way there. And I mean high end first round talent at receiver. I just don't think I could justify it, because you don't have any other picks to make that up. You don't have a third or another fourth.
It would have to be Casey Concepcion for you to consider wide receiver, that level of talent.
I'd say even better.
Okay. So it's got to be. So it sounds like you're saying I need to address more the depth in these areas of need. Okay. Yeah. Completely fine and completely valid. So I will tell you this. With me at 60, is it 60 or 62? It doesn't matter.
60,
In the
60,
60s,
yeah.
I am looking at a running back.
62. You're right.
Yeah. I'm looking at a running back. And the reason I'm looking at a running back is because I don't think running back stretches. And because you're now without a third and a first, I like a lot of linebackers later. Give me Aiden Fisher or Reed Murdoch. Those are linebackers. Aiden Fisher from Indiana, Reed Murdoch from Buffalo. Those guys stretch into the fourth round. The running backs, I love Mike Washington, but there is no guarantee that he's going to be there in the fourth. And after Mike Washington, it starts getting hairy. Like there's not going to be there's not a LaQuint Allen in this draft. There's not a Devin Neal in this draft.
Yeah, no, last year was the year to double dip.
100%.
And we had to get Caleb Lohner instead. I feel that. I think that's a good point because they really need a 1B running back. However, I would say, so if you have Max Clare, and Mike Washington staring at your face at 62. I mean, what would you pick considering, what they would be coming into and what snaps would be available and the opportunity to contribute?
I'm still taking Clare because I have him rated higher than Mike Washington. I think Mike Washington's probably a third or fourth round guy, whereas Clare is probably a second or third round guy. So I'm still taking Clare in that situation. But
Jadarian Price, a guy like that.
Jadarian Price, I've got over Clare. So I love Jadarian Price. And again, if you're asking me like Clare or Price or Johnson, or Jonah Coleman, I'm probably taking those guys over a tight end. But again, Evan Ingram's probably not going to be here in 2027, so I would say get that train rolling. So
yeah, and so that hopefully maybe even there's something in the works during draft day. But I don't think so. I think that they're going to run it back. Davis Webb loves him some Evan Ingram. But all right, before we go, because I want to know something. Are the Denver Broncos now, in your opinion, because of this move, bringing in Jalen Waddle, where they sit now, heading into the draft here, exactly-ish 1 month away, close?
Yep.
Do you think that they are the team to beat in the AFC?
Yes. Yes, as crazy as that sounds, I think they are the deepest team. And also, if you look around the AFC, Pat Mahomes is coming back from an ACL. Josh Allen has a new coach. Lamar Jackson has a new coach. The Steelers have a new coach. You might see some noise from, Jacksonville or the AFC South. I'm still taking the Broncos roster over either the Texans or the Jaguars. The Patriots have not really – I don't think they have not raised that ceiling that you need to in free agency that the Broncos have. So, yes, in my opinion, they are the favorite in the AFC. Now, I don't know if they're the favorite in the league because I still really like what Seattle has and I really like what the Rams have. But, yeah, I think you guys should swagger around a little bit because I think you guys are the favorite.
No, I like it. I think the move, in my opinion, is really a separator. I think you have an opportunity to have a top 10 offense, top 10 defense in tow. And if you can have that, it's an opportunity for you to win the Super Bowl. That's for sure. Any last thoughts before we peace out?
No, sir. Just glad to talk sports with you again on another Wednesday. Glad everybody's here.
Yeah. Appreciate you all. Thanks for hopping in. Hopefully JT will be back next week. Who knows? Who knows what that guy's doing? Apparently he does
living his life,
but we still enjoy it. We have fun. I am going to call my shot now and say this time next week we will have at least one addition to the Denver Broncos via the free agency route. That's my take. We'll have something more to talk about, but until then, hopefully you all stay healthy, happy, and all the good stuff. If you need a script,
from football to hockey, we're taking taking it higher. Join the celebration, feel that sports desire. So grab your crew, let's hit the show. Mile High Sports Symposium, let the good times flow.